Good afternoon. It is Monday, November 24th, 2025. We have a lot to discuss in today's forecast, so this is going to be lengthy, mainly because we want to get into as much detail as we can for anyone that is flying out to your destination or driving from point A to point B, if that's across the country. And also, we want to talk about your Thanksgiving forecast and what the weather is going to be like for that day and days leading up to that. But there are some hurdles that we want to get to before we really get into the meat of this video, and that's really across California and across portions of the Pacific Northwest, and then we'll look ahead at the rest of the country towards the middle to the end of this video. So make sure you're patient and you're able to tune in and share this with their family and friends on social media. Because I wanted to show you all something here as far as the Tule Fog goes first in the Sacramento Valley, because that's what's going to cause most of our problems in the immediate term. So looking at the latest GOES satellite imagery here across California, and I know this is mesoscale, this only impacts a certain amount of people, but I wanted to talk about this because I think it's pretty cool to look at from a satellite imagery here, that we don't see this very often, but at the same time, this is going to lead to, I'm sure, a lot of accidents because the visibilities are reduced. So looking at the latest satellite imagery here from GOES, we can clearly see that there is a lot of Tule fog. I'm telling you right now, it extends all the way from, say, Chico and, yes, basically from Chico and Yuba City, southward here along I-5, down across Highway 99, all the way across Fresno, and even in parts of Bakersfield, reporting some reduced visibility. And if that's not enough, there's even some fog here in the Salinas and San Benito valleys as well near Monterey. So yeah, the air mass here is unfortunately very stagnant. And when it's stagnant, it resists any movement, and that inversion, which we'll show you here on the soundings, does not or indicates that this might have a hard time burning off today. And if it doesn't burn off today, it will certainly not burn off tomorrow or in the next few days. So yeah, if you suffer from depression because of all this Tule fog here, you might want to go visit Placerville, Auburn. Lake Tahoe is beautiful and sunny today because you're above the fog deck. But if you are in, and even in Half Moon Bay, sunny skies here, and even in the Bay Area, sunny skies. But if you're one of those unlucky people like me, the sun will not come out today. That's, again, Sacramento all the way down into Bakersfield and Fresno. Actually, Bakersfield could break out into some sun. Actually, Bakersfield right now getting some sunny skies, but don't be surprised if this fog bank does roll in briefly before it starts at least mixing out. But it is already noon of me recording this video, and I just don't see this burning off or mixing out very well at all. Some areas of the fog deck might lift and we see some partly or mostly cloudy skies, but once the sun sets tonight, the fog will return in vengeance, and it will be in a hurry to do so. So I wanted to show you all basically with what we are looking at here in terms of visibility, because is this stratus low enough to impact your visibility? Well, first of all, we're looking at Bay Area here. So in Santa Rosa, it's cloudy right now, calm winds, but it also reporting some fog as well. So we are seeing some reduced visibility there still. In Napa, cloudy skies, no fog reporting there. Concord, 51 degrees, and it's foggy. Now, it's interesting here that wherever there's fog, the temperatures are in the upper 40s to lower 50s. Meaning we're not seeing much surface heating. So you got temperature 48 degrees in Santa Rosa, Concord 51, Napa 52, so a little warmer there. But Oakland, where the fog is not a problem, where it's mostly sunny, it's already warming up there at 56 degrees now. But look at the barometers too, very high pressure, and that's indicating our air mass is pretty stagnant. San Francisco Airport, mostly sunny. So Bay Area spots, pretty nice overall, other than if you get into like the Livermore Valley, you're seeing some fog. But this is where the fog is quite widespread. By the way, Half Moon Bay reporting sunny, gorgeous there, almost 61 degrees. Santa Maria really warm as well. But you get into Redding, sunny skies, yes, it's good weather. But you get down here, well, actually Auburn looking nice. I wish these were in order from north to south. But the southern Sacramento Valley, basically, put it this way, from Beale Air Force Base, visibility to there down to 1/8 of a mile, that's pretty thick. Further south, it's fog or low stratus, which means the fog has lifted off the ground, but it's just this low stratus deck where it resists to burn off and mix out. So even so, visibilities do improve this afternoon. I just don't see sunny skies in most of these locations. Stockton, cloudy or fog, especially in Fresno, still. As of the noon hour, it's foggy in Fresno. Northwest wind here, very light. And then, yeah, that's just how it works in the valley. The fog is going to be a thing going forward. And so the question is, now that the fog is not going to likely burn off, that's my prediction, because again, we have the strongest solar heating happens within the next 2 hours. After we get past 2 o'clock, solar radiation decreases because the sun angle gets lower as the sun begins to set at about 4:45 in the afternoon. So the question is, will this burn off to some extent? Will the sun peek through? It doesn't look like it's going to. When we go to the forecast here, this is the 12Z. I think our 18Z model run finally got finished rendering. So when we go forward here, this is 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So keep in mind your local time zone. This is 2 o'clock my time, not no one's time here. It's still foggy. These are low clouds here. This obscuration here of 100%. Does this burn off today? The model's not perfect, but it does insist that this does mix out. But we got to understand here that if we go to noon, it already assumes really quickly that the fog here is burning off to the west and to the south of the Sutter Buttes. If we go back to the satellite imagery and kind of zoom back in, it's still foggy west of the Sutter Buttes, south of the Sutter Buttes. So that means the HRRR is underdoing the fog, I believe. I think it's not, again, it's underdoing it. And so that leads us to, it's probably going to stay foggy pretty much in the southern Sacramento Valley. So like Sacramento County, San Joaquin County, Stanislaus County. If you're in Merced County, we're also looking at some really thick fog, low clouds, if that. Might not even lift in some areas, could just stay foggy all day. And so if any clearing happens here, it's going to get foggy again. So by 11 p.m. tonight, the fog picks up again. It gets more widespread. And this time it is very widespread. Now, of course, ignore this right here. These are all high clouds. Probably not very thick high clouds either, because again, the model overdoes cloud cover sometimes, especially in the upper levels. But look at this. It does a pretty good job at showing more fog. And this time it's in the North Bay valleys. It's in the Carquinez Strait. It's in the South Bay. And then tomorrow, does it burn off? It's always a question if it will. Because, yeah, if we get some high clouds, that could even limit surface heating to some extent. And it does not look like the fog is going to really burn off easily tomorrow. It's going to be one of those days where it's just foggy and cloudy all day and cold as well. And then look at this. It is foggy again as we go into Wednesday morning. So we're looking at Monday night into Tuesday morning, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we're seeing fog. And then probably even Wednesday night into Thursday morning, we're looking at dense fog. And then maybe even Thursday night, which is Thanksgiving day and evening into Black Friday shopping, we're looking at fog in the valley and even some parts of the Bay Area. So keep that in mind. Might just be cloudy all week. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s. And with that, there might even be a little bit of drizzle and mist accumulating down here in Stockton, Merced, where, yeah, you might get a little bit of a reprieve here of 0.04 of an inch of water of accumulation here, more likely in the form of dew, but you get the idea. Maybe a little bit of moisture accumulation here, maybe some drizzle, some mist kind of thing. Got some good mist last night, and actually it's misting out the door right now. It's foggy, it's misty, it's cold. Yeah, it's 51 here. I don't think it's going to get much warmer. So going forward here, how warm will it get today? Again, fog dependent. Okay, if it burns off, it gets into the mid to upper 50s, probably low 60s. If the fog and clouds stay around, low to mid 50s today. So putting this into motion, you can see Stockton, these areas about 54, 55 degrees, maybe a little warmer here if the fog burns off. And then it just comes back in tonight. It's back to the same old fog, colder temperatures. And then tomorrow, it struggles to warm up even further, while the Bay Area spots, look at this, maybe close to 70 degrees in Santa Cruz and Half Moon Bay because of that offshore flow tomorrow. Yeah, can you believe it? Warmer at the coast. Then the Central Valley, it's the opposite. In the summertime, it's hotter in the valley and colder here along the coast, but it is the opposite, and that's because of that fog clouds that we're seeing. And then the same thing happens on Wednesday. Valley is in the 40s, the foothills in the 50s and 60s, and even some upper 60s, lower 70s in the lower elevations because that inversion really sets up here on Wednesday. And that's why I think, I can't say this enough, Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday going to be days I just don't see the fog burning off. And if it does, it is going to be brief. I wouldn't even call it brief. Probably technically you can call it a fog day. And a fog day here in the home weather office is if fog does not burn off until about, say, 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon. We've already had one fog day from yesterday. We'll see if we get day 2 here for today. So now let's take a look here at our soundings. And this is very important. I know soundings to a lot of you they don't mean much at all. But I wanted to show you this because this is kind of a skeletal view of what it looks like in the atmosphere when we have fog and when we don't. So if we look at the sounding here really quickly, we can see technically from about, say, I would say 1,400 feet down to the surface, it is saturated. You can see the green line meeting the red line. That is what Tule fog looks like in the valley when the dew point and the air temperature meet that saturation. And then you get above the inversion, the air is really dry. You can see the green line well to the left of the red line. That means there's a pretty dry layer here at around, say, 3 to 4,000 feet. And it's also warmer too. So again, that's that inversion. Will this change? Once inversion set up here in the valley with a low sun angle, they resist. They don't burn off. It doesn't mix out very well. This model does show a little bit of mixing today, but it is now casting this. The later the fog burns off, you can basically say, okay, it didn't mix out very well. And the fog builds again tonight. This is actually a little deeper tonight, so that means probably tomorrow it's not going to want to burn off. And this is very, very uniform. Right in here, a very, very strong inversion with temperatures probably in the 60s, even overnight in the foothills. I would not be surprised if we don't get much cooler than, say, the mid to upper 50s or lower 60s, depending on where you're at, because of that inversion that sets up, okay? And then it burns off again, but really will depend just how extensive and how deep this gets. And then it returns again. I mean, there's not much change here. This is very resistant, and especially Wednesday morning, man, that is one heck of an inversion. Temperatures almost 20 degrees Celsius, or pretty much in the mid-60s. Mid-60s, pretty much at about 2,500 feet. It's a very, very, very strong inversion, and when you get down to the surface, temperatures are in the low to mid 40s. Yeah. That's why I don't see this mixing out very well. I just don't see fog burning off each and every day. So looking at the airport weather reports right here, this is in Sacramento, and I want to full screen this so I can show you guys. This is going to be hard to see for some of you, but I wanted to show you this to you guys very quickly. In Sacramento, yeah, it's about noon. it is foggy. Visibility down to a quarter of a mile. That just kind of goes to show you that it's not going to lift. This is not going to sufficiently mix out very well. Overcast, very low as well. Stockton, better visibility here, but a low overcast, about 300 to 400 feet off the surface. So again, just that low stratus there. Modesto, also better visibility here. It really wasn't bad overnight because the fog never came down to the surface. So the visibility or the overcast here is about 300 or 400 feet. So it's just this low overcast blanketing the whole valley in some areas. And this is in Merced. So again, there's Stockton, there is Modesto Airport, and then Merced Airport. 48 degrees, also foggy and low clouds that we talked about. And this is where the visibility is not very good. In Madera, between about a mile to a mile and a half, and you can see cloudy as well. So it's either a very low blanket, maybe 300 or 400 feet off the ground, or it's fog. It's pretty much where we're at. And a good example of that is still foggy pretty much. This is better visibility, but 3/4 of a mile, that's not 10-mile visibility, right? That is pretty thick. And yeah, that just goes to show you it's going to struggle today to burn off. So now we got past the boring part of this video. I'm so sorry, folks, but I thought that would be kind of an interesting lesson for you all. If you're familiar with the Tule Fog in the Central Valley, just know it's not going to burn off over the next few days. And if it does, it's going to be brief because it will return each and every night. This is a very stagnant air quality or stagnant air mass. Doesn't want to move around very much. And it's with that ridge building and across the west, it's going to resist even more movement as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. So now let's talk about the rest of the country because fog is boring. We get it, right? But not so much if you're in the Great Lakes or if you're in the Pacific Northwest. The weather's not boring and it's more exciting, if anything, unless you have to drive or fly and flight cancellations occur because of weather's not really cooperating, or you just don't like snow or rainfall. So putting this into motion here on the GFS model over the next couple of days, we have this weather system that's going to be moving across the Great Lakes region. That's going to bring in some heavy snowfall. Some of the Great Lakes, that lake effect snow going to be pretty decent. But otherwise, it looks pretty good overall for Thanksgiving, unless you are in the Great Lakes with that lake effect snow. That's becoming a thing right now, where we could see some pretty intense lake effect snow setting up over Lake Erie, Lake Huron, Lake Ontario, Lake Erie. Just keep that in mind. Looks to be kind of snowy for Thanksgiving Day, but otherwise most of the nation looking nice and quiet, which is what we want to hear about, right? We don't want to hear about big time historic snowstorms, rainstorms, or severe weather events. The Pacific Northwest looking good, although the next system is knocking on the door. Going to Black Friday shopping here looks actually, this is Thanksgiving Eve or Thanksgiving Day in the afternoon, and then Black Friday shopping looks good, really does. If you're in California, on the side note of that Tule Fog, sunny skies, mostly sunny, some high clouds drifting by, and then of course some rain and snow for the Pacific Northwest, and then of course the Great Lakes looking at more snowfall coming. And then as we go into, that's Black Friday. Saturday gets to be interesting. Any fog in the Central Valley will mix out because we have colder temperatures moving in. You can see here the 540 line seeking southward, got some snow for the mountains. This is one of those systems that either it could be very windy or it might just be a little wet instead. So that's what we'll have to watch in future model runs from the GFS, showing that the European has trended more towards the GFS as well. So that's what we're seeing pretty much. Not much rainfall, but colder temperatures aloft here will help to agitate that that inversion out and mix out that fog nicely for the Central Valley. But here is when things get out of control as we go into early next week for the last day of November into early December. Yeah, we get a big snowstorm here in the Rockies, into the Northern Plains, into the Great Lakes as well. And then putting this into motion further as we go into Monday and Tuesday next week. Yeah, it looks stormy if you're in Indiana, if you're in, say, Missouri, if you're in, say, Arkansas, all the way into the Great Lakes. Yeah, just stormy. We got some thunderstorms, some gusty winds, some colder temperatures arriving behind that. It's just going to be kind of you just want to stay home because there's going to be more coming. And then by Tuesday and Wednesday next week, there's a lot of uncertainty, but it looks like the pattern is going to be pretty darn active. Yeah, got some active weather coming for the Midwest and also, or for the high plains and of course for the Midwest as well. So now taking a look at those temperatures, of course, for much of the nation, you can see, of course, across much of the West, temperatures are going to be in the hence 40s in the valley, 50s and 60s in the higher elevations. Along the California coast, we're looking at temperatures in the 50s and 60s, but colder up here towards the north and towards, say, if you're in Canada, temperatures are going to be pretty cold. That cold Arctic air finally making its vengeance further south here as we go into Thanksgiving Day, Thanksgiving Eve, and also for Black Friday, man, it's going to be cold. Please be brave if you're waiting in long lines at Best Buy, at Target, at Walmart for those big hot deals for Black Friday. Boy, it is going to be cold. Indianapolis, Kokomo, Indiana, in the low 20s at night, single digits up here in, say, Minnesota as well as Wisconsin, in the Dakotas as well, up here towards the north, even into Canada. Temperatures are going to be awfully cold, but it's going to get colder than this, I'm afraid to say, because there's another Arctic air mass that comes in by the time we go into day 7, day 8. I mean, boy, man, this is really, really cold right here. This is Tuesday morning, 192 hours out, so this is about 8 days away. Yeah, negative 30 degrees. Yeah, in the Dakotas. Whew. Man, that's a nail biter. That is pretty dangerous, in fact. And when we factor in our wind chill indexes, let's look at those. Yeah, negative 35, negative 40 degrees. Yeah, not so fun. Not so fun at all. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for really December-like temperatures, because it is going to feel like December after all. And then that colder air might try to work its way further south, even into the Midwest here in about 10 days. Be single digits for the first 4 days of December. Yeah, and it's not even winter yet. The winter does not begin officially until December 21st. And it is going to be pretty darn cold from here on out for the northern tier of the United States, perhaps. Now, really quickly, let's take a look at those temperature anomalies, because temperatures will be above average and then colder than normal by Thanksgiving and Black Friday. And then going forward here, more colder air coming in. Behind this cold front, you can see warm ahead of it. And then it's just cold, cold, cold. Look at this. Temperatures 30 to 40 degrees below average here in the northern tier of the Dakotas, in Minnesota, as well as Wisconsin. And then there's just more coming. This pattern is not changing. But anyways, I sure hope you found this video very helpful, detailed, and informative, folks. I know I took a really long time. I wanted to keep this video very short. But of course, everybody's traveling for Thanksgiving. I know the grocery stores are going to be busy. I'm working there today. And yeah, we're talking long lines at the check stands. So make sure you're patient. I came across a rude customer yesterday, actually. So just be aware of that if you are shopping. Don't be surprised if you end up hearing about rude customers doing crazy stuff. It's that time of the year. Shopping is a headache. But otherwise, if you're at the grocery store, my advice to you is please have patience. Long lines, everyone wants to hit the grocery stores. So just keep in mind about that if you're going last minute shopping at the grocery stores. Black Friday is going to be a headache as well, so just make sure you have patience. But otherwise, in terms of the weather pattern, looks pretty good for traveling both in the air and also on the ground as well. Other than that little disruptive snowstorm in the Great Lakes, I don't see much of traveling problem this Thanksgiving for once, but after that, the pattern really changes for the significance. But otherwise, thank you all for watching, share, like, and subscribe, and I'll be back with you more tomorrow with a much shorter version of a weather forecast. We're not going to go into much detail because, this was a long video, but thank you guys for watching.